On the news tonight, federal government plans to make Lagos Airport more efficient. Inspector General of Police re-strategizes security architecture. Kenya's top prosecutor drops charges against lawmakers over anti-government protests. Good evening, and we're glad to have you join us on the major reports. I am Olubumi Ajiboye Agbuola. The federal government has announced plans to sign the contractor for the construction of a rail line to connect the domestic and the international wings of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. This, it said, is part of the plans to decongest gridlock in and out of the country's premier airport and make it more secure, efficient, and profitable. The federal government further said that the plan to improve the Lagos airport will also see the demolition of two prominent aircraft hangars adjacent the former headquarters office of the erstwhile Accident Investigation Bureau, Dominion hangar owned by the Fiery Cleric and the founder of the Living Faith Church Worldwide, and the Evergreen Apple owned by a former Director General of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Dr. Harold Demore. Minister of Aviation, Senator Adi Sireka, who served us in Lagos, also affirmed that the Lagos airport operations needed to be improved upon. It said it's high time necessary rehabilitation works and reconstructions were carried out to improve infrastructure at the airport, noting that the demolition of the hangars would happen within the next 2 weeks. Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke has talked the forfeiture of the state mining licenses due to mismanagement by previous administration. Spokesperson to the governor, Malam Rashid Olawale, said the state has about 7 mining licenses across the solid mineral value chains. According to him, the licenses were almost sold off in the last days of the Oyetola's administration due to a deliberate refusal to revalidate the licenses by paying required fees to the Federal Mining Licensing Body. He added that after the submission of the report of the Solid Mineral Committee, Governor Adeleke has however ramped up actions to reposition the sector and ensure the revalidation of the state mining licenses. It will be recalled that at a meeting with the Director General of the Nigerian Mining Cadastral Agency, Engineer Obadiah Nkom, Governor Adeleke affirmed the readiness of his administration to ensure all necessary fees are paid for the state mining licenses to be secured. Responding, the Director General of the Mining Cadastral, Engineer Obadiah Nkom, expressed the readiness of his agency to partner with the Osun State government for the revival of the state's mining sector. Engineer Nkom, who described Osun State as an important mining state, recommended the political will demonstrated by Governor Adeleke, stressing that the meeting was unprecedented in federal-state mining relations. Figures obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria indicated that the country's external reserves has declined by $1.46 billion between January and March. The CBN's data on movement of external reserves showed that the reserves, which stood at $36.99 billion as of the end of January this year, fell to $35.53 billion as of the end of last month. At the last Monetary Policy Committee in Abuja, the governor of Central Bank of Nigeria attributed the decline in these external reserves to the fall in crude oil price. The Apex Bank boss noted that the marginal decline in the level of gross external reserves to $36.13 billion in February from $36.4 billion in January, a decrease of 0.7%, reflecting the downtrend in crude oil prices as global uncertainties. Nigerians have called on the federal government to intensify efforts in ensuring adequate accessibility to fuel and cash in order to effect daily activities positively. Those who spoke with OSBC News in separate interviews made the call while reacting to fuel price variation and cash crunch. Oluwatobiloba Odunuga completes the story.
Tension caused by the currency redesign policy of the federal government do not seem to be abating soon, despite the fact that the Apex Bank had ordered commercial banks in the country to make cash available to their customers through the automated teller machines and over-the-counter in compliance with the Supreme Court judgment. This was evidenced in the large number of crowds that still visit the banks in search of cash. Some of the bank customers who spoke with OSBC News but pleaded anonymity lamented that more than a week after the CBN complied with the court judgment and made cash available, some banks are still short of cash. A veteran journalist, Mr. Kayode Adedire, who was in one of the commercial banks for transaction, noted that the tension is gradually reducing, but it will take time before normalcy returns.
They claim to have pushed out some currencies in order to reduce the tension, but the tension is still there. I believe the damage done has been too severe. So for the tension to subside, I think it will take about a month. So we just have to contend with the situation for now. The tension will continue, and you see, we don't take the central bank seriously when they speak nowadays. Going by what they have been doing in the past 3, 4, 5 months, disobeying court judgment and whatnot. So the tension is still on, but it's not as critical as you used to have it.
When asked why Nigerians are not embracing a cashless policy and still struggling to get cash, Mr. Adedire noted that government needs to invest in technology to make cashless transaction easy, especially with the issue of internet, posing as a huge challenge.
It's not as if Nigerians have not embraced it. Even when you transfer online now, you know the problem we have. I have been doing it in the last 4 weeks. It's only in the midnight, in the wee hours of the day, that one can get reasonable access through internet. I mean, how many people can do that? Nigerians are ready to embrace it, but you just have to do it gradually.
OSBC News also observed that normalcy is gradually returning to the fuel stations as queues are disappearing. OSBC observation reveals that commuters now go about their usual businesses without wasting quality time in search of petrol. Investigation reveals that some filling stations in Osogbo are selling a liter of premium motor spirit for 195 naira, while some are selling between 200 naira and 235 naira. Some motorists who spoke in camera with OSBC News charged the federal government to ensure that issue of queues in filling stations will remain a thing of the past. Oluwatobiloba Odunuga, OSBC News.
Christians have been admonished to utilize the Passion Week to seek the face of the Lord or in humility and kindness for mankind. Reverend Father Peter Adeyemi gave the admonition while featuring on OSBC Weekly Current and Affairs program, Egbeyewo. Reverend Father Adeyemi, who described the Passion Week as most spiritual gifts to the mankind, charged all Christian faithful to emulate the teachings of Jesus Christ. He also enjoined all the newly elected officials to make good impact on the life of the people in their domain, as they will account of their stewardship on the day of judgment. The former president, Goodluck Jonathan, has received the African Democracy and Peace Icon Award in Rwanda. Dr. Jonathan and other prominent African leaders were honored at the maiden edition of the African Heritage Concert and Awards held in Kigali, Rwanda. The Nigerian High Commissioner to Rwanda, Ambassador Suleiman Sani, was also present at the event. A press release by the organizers said the event was held to celebrate and honor African greats who have distinguished themselves in their various fields of endeavor and have made sustainable global impact in pacifying the image of Africa. According to the press release signed by the chairman of the organizing committee, Mr. Moses Siasia, former President Jonathan appealed to African leaders who are privileged to hold public offices to become servants of the people and not to turn themselves into the bosses of the people. Similarly, Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, Chief Dr. Joe Howard Taylor, who was conferred with the African Humanitarian Award, declared that honoring the best and brightest minds in Africa is crucial for navigating the future of the continent, especially as it concerns leadership. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, has met with the new chairperson of the Police Service Commission, Solomon Arase. Both parties met at the Police Service Commission Conference Room, Federal Secretariat, Abuja, where they discussed measures to improve the mutual relationship between the Nigerian Police Force and the PSC, as well as identify new pathways for stronger partnership. Speaking with newsmen after the meeting, IGP Baba disclosed that his visit will improve the relationship between the police and the PSC, as well as enhance the security situation of the country. According to him, when there is proper leadership, guidance, sense of direction, discipline, promotion, appointments, people will be motivated to do the right thing. Parents and guardians have been advised to be wary of those who offer to take their children abroad in search of greener pastures, as many of them are lured into prostitution, slavery, and organ harvesting. Controller of the Immigration Service, Osun State Command, Mrs. Abolupe Bewaji, gave the advice while parading a man suspected to be involved in human trafficking at the NIS office, Osogbo. Oluchi Amoda completes the story.
The Osun State Command of the Nigeria Immigration Service paraded a man, Simon Weke, who was suspected to be involved in the smuggling of 2 minors to Mali for prostitution. While briefing journalists about how the suspect was apprehended, the Controller of Nigeria Immigration Service NIS Osun State Command, Mrs. Abolupe Bewaji, stated that Simon Weke, who resides in Modakeke, abducted 15-year-old Oyinlola Olalekan and Yetunde Oloyede and smuggled them to Mali to a lady simply identified as Queen, who lured them into prostitution.
We learned through the investigation that Mr. Nweke collected money over the heads of these children, and he didn't tell them what they were going to do in Mali. We later found out that the girls were exported for prostituting business, and this is what we are kicking against.
The Osun State NIS Controller, who reiterated the resolve of the agency to put an end to activities of human traffickers, warned parents and guardians to be careful about who they entrust their children with in the name of traveling abroad, adding that most of them are subjected to inhuman acts by agents who lure them out of the country in search of greener pastures.
Parents should beware of whoever they're handing over their children to. It's not everybody that will tell you, I will help you, that will really help. People are helping in different ways. They are making it a modern slave trade, whereby they sell these children for something else. And then some of them, we have heard issues, a lot of issues concerning this. Some of their organs were being harvested, and thereby they died in a way that we cannot even understand. Some are exposed to danger, some are exposed to sex slavery.
When journalists asked the suspect about his involvement in the crime, he denied being part of it, but however admitted that he resides in the same neighborhood with the victims in Modakeke, adding that he also used his phone to communicate with the lady identified as Queen, who received the minors in Bamako, Mali. The suspect was thereafter handed over to officers of the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons and Other Related Matters, NAPTIP, for prosecution. NAPTIP is a federal government agency established to fight trafficking in persons using the Trafficking in Persons Prohibition Law Enforcement and Administration Act of 2023. Oluchi Amuda, Osbc News.
Still on crime-related stories, a woman who was among the abducted passengers of a commercial vehicle along the Osogbo-Ikirun Road has been rescued. The news of the rescue was made public by the Nigeria Police Osun State Command. It will be recalled that travelers were abducted at Ayepe community along the Osogbo-Ikirun Road by unknown gunmen. Confirming the rescue, the spokesperson of Osun Police Command, SP Yemisi Opadola, revealed that operations to free other abducted passengers have commenced. SP Opadola also revealed that the driver of the vehicle that was attacked by the gunmen had been found. According to her, the operatives rescued the kidnapped victim of Ikirun Osogbo Road abduction that occurred. A 24-hour curfew has been imposed on Sabon Gari, Nasarawa Tirukaniya area of the Chikun local government area of Kaduna State. The State Commissioner, Ministry of Internal Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Samuel Aronwa, explained that the decision was reached following a breakdown of law and order which led to the killing of 2 citizens in an incident of urban gang violence. Mr. Aronwa said further that security agencies have been directed to enforce the curfew in the said location to restore order as investigations proceed. He called on citizens in the area to strictly observe the curfew, which takes immediate effect. You are welcome to our sports segment. As the English Premier League season reaches its climax, there are many big names and title-winning managers on the market waiting for their next opportunity. And now 2 of the Premier League's Big 6 are looking for a new boss after Chelsea sacked Graham Potter. Leicester City, who sacked Brendan Rodgers, are also on the lookout for a new boss. Omotayo Adebodu now completes the story.
Chelsea's interim head coach Bruno Silva says it's been a difficult 24 hours for all of them at the club after Graham Potter's sacking. Potter and assistant coach Billy Reid left the club after only 31 games. Bruno and Reid were part of Potter's coaching staffs at Brighton and joined Chelsea with him in September. When Chelsea confirmed the changes, they issued a statement which said Potter has agreed to collaborate with the club to facilitate a smooth transition. Potter was sacked with Chelsea 11th in the Premier League after Saturday's 2-0 home defeat by Aston Villa. They are 12 points off the top 4 with 10 games of the season remaining, beginning with tomorrow's match at home to Liverpool. Meanwhile, the departure of Brendan Rodgers from Leicester City is the culmination of a dramatic fall for both club and manager, with the fear of falling even further the catalyst behind the move. Rodgers arrived at the Foxes in February 2019 after winning all 7 domestic trophies available to him during a successful tenure at Celtic, leaving the adoration he enjoyed at Parkhead to succeed Claude Puel at the King's Power Stadium. For a time, 50-year-old Rodgers enhanced a reputation as one of the most progressive coaches in the game as Leicester produced the attacking football that was his trademark, the high point being the club's first FA victory when Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea were beaten at Wembley in May 2021. In the meantime, former world number 1 Dani Medvedev won the Miami Open title for the first time by beating Yannick Sinner in straight sets. The informed Russian 4th seed broke serves twice in the opening set before powering a 7-5, 6-3 victory. It is the 5th Master 1000 crown of his career and his 4th ATP title of 2023, following wins in Dubai, Doha and Rotherham. Medvedev, a runners-up at India Wells last month, continued his impressive form to win in just 90 minutes as Sinner tried in the second set after putting up a fight early on. World number 5 Medvedev becomes the first player since Ivan Lednin in 1981 to reach a 5th consecutive ATP final when he beat fellow Russian Karen Khachanov in the last 4. Omotayo Adebodu reporting for Osbc News.
And moving on to the foreign scene, Kenya's top prosecutor has dropped charges against 4 lawmakers over anti-government protests after former President Raila Odinga announced he would embark on dialogue with the government. Sarah Omidele completes the story and others.
The charges were withdrawn after former President Raila Odinga announced he would embark on dialogue with the government after weeks of chaotic street protests. The 4 opposition lawmakers, all leaders of Odinga's party in Kenya's parliament, were arrested and charged with unlawful assembly and later released on bail. Thousands of people took part in 3 marches over the past 2 weeks against the high cost of living and alleged fraud in last year's general elections. According to reports, a 4th rally had been planned, but it was called off temporarily after President William Ruto called for negotiations and suggested the establishment of a bipartisan committee to reconstitute the Electoral Commission to explore possible reforms to electoral procedure. In another development, a minor was shot dead in the town of Bia Sharif in Bahar State, Nalanda district of India, as Hindus took out a procession to mark Ram Navami, while authorities have deployed hundreds of riot police and cut mobile internet services in parts of eastern India after violence erupted in several states during the Hindu religious festival. This came a day after mobs set fire to homes and shops during the French-sized public celebrations of the festival in the town. Ram Navami festival in several parts of India usually sees large processions by people brandishing swords, stakes, tridents and guns. Nalanda Police Chief Shibli Nomani said nearly 100 people have been arrested. Sarah Omidele, Osbc News.
And to end the major reports, here's a recap of some of the top stories. Federal government has announced plan to make Lagos Airport more secure, efficient and profitable, as well as construct a rail line. We also told you that the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, has met Police Service Commission, promising to improve security in the country. While on the foreign scene, we reported that Kenya's top prosecutor has dropped charges against 4 lawmakers over anti-government protests after former President Raila Odinga announced he would embark on dialogue with the government. And that ends the major report on OSBC TV. It was edited by Adebari Ijimakinde. I am Olubomi Ajiboye Agbola saying good night.